I'm Candace. Welcome to my treehouse. It's my most favorite place on earth. Well, right now it's more of my favorite hiding spot because I made a mistake. My dad told me to put all my nail polish away, and I told him I did, but I didn't. And then I forgot about it, and one of the bottles spilled all over the rug in my room. So I brought it to the treehouse to hide and clean up. Do you think he'll be upset that I hid it from him? I know my dad loves me and that he will forgive me, but I just can't face him right now. My dad doesn't know about my mistake yet, but God does. God knows everything about me. He knows all the things that make me special, but he also knows when I make wrong choices. I just read a story in the Bible about a group of people who decided to do what they thought was best instead of following God's plan for them. That's called sin. But God knew their mistakes and still loved them and cared for them. The Bible is God's true message to us about himself. So let's look in the book of Genesis and see something amazing God did. The Tower of Babylon. There was a time long ago when everyone in the world spoke the same language and could understand each other. God told his people to be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. But instead, the people said to each other, "Let's make bricks and build ourselves a city and a tower with its top in the sky and make a name for ourselves. Otherwise, we will be scattered throughout the earth." They started to build a tower with bricks and asphalt for mortar to create a giant building that would reach the heavens. As the people built their tower, God saw what they were trying to do. They were trying to make themselves great. They wanted other people to look and praise them for how awesome they were instead of how awesome God is. This was wrong, and God knew what they were doing. But even though the people were disobeying God, he still loved them. Let's see what happens next. God knew that if they disobeyed and did not follow God, nothing would be impossible for them. God stepped in and confused their language so they could not understand each other. Because of this, the people had to stop building the city. The city from that time was named Babylon because God confused their language. God then had them scatter all over the world. When the people made a big mistake, God didn't leave them or reject them. Instead, God stepped in. He knew what was best for them and changed their language so that they would spread out and fill the earth just like he planned. It may have seemed easier for them to follow their own plan, but God's plan was bigger and better than they could ever imagine. And God has a plan for us too. God's plan for us is to have a relationship with him. But just like the people in our story, we make mistakes. We all decide to sin and disobey God. But even after all these years, God hasn't changed. God knows our mistakes, but he doesn't reject us or leave us when we make mistakes. Instead, he steps in and gives us a way to have a relationship with him. God sent his son Jesus so we can know him and follow him. God knows everything about you. He even knows the things you aren't proud of, like turning the rug in my room purple. But God doesn't leave you. God already knows your mistakes and is ready to forgive you when you ask. Even though I made a mistake, hiding in my treehouse won't make it go away. I may get in trouble for disobeying, but I know my dad loves me, and I know that God loves me too. God knows your real mistakes, and he loves you anyways.